here in Pennsylvania, it's spring. And spring, what I do is look for morels. Now, the last few years, I've had both my daughters and my son-in-laws ask me, how do you find morels every year? And my niece also is showing interest in looking for morels. And I gave them some tips to help them find some. And I thought, maybe there's some of my viewers that might want to learn how to do it. So, that's my plan. What I'm going to do, I'm going to show you the 4 types of trees to identify in order to find morels. Those 4 would be elm, black cherry, sycamore, and tulip poplar. So if you learn to identify those 4 trees and you look around, you're probably going to find morels. Now, I just been in the woods here for 5 minutes and come down, and I happened to see an elm tree here. So I thought, well, there's an elm tree, there's probably mushrooms here. I've already seen one. So I'm gonna show you it, and then I'm gonna try to help you identify the trees. So when you go out in the woods, you're not just wandering around aimlessly. You gotta know what trees to look for. You find the trees, you find the mushrooms. So that's my goal, was to help you identify the trees and help you find some mushrooms. So go ahead and get started here. All right, you see that tree right there? That's an elm tree. Right down here is a morel. Now that one's pretty old. You can see it's pretty old, it's falling apart. So I can't harvest that one, it's too old. That's a morel right there. And right there's the tree. But usually if there's one morel, there's other morels. So I'm gonna look around here for a little bit. If I find any, I'll record it for you. And if not, we'll keep on looking. All right, when you're out here walking around in the woods, one of the things you want to find is an elm tree with the bark coming off. That's an elm tree. Now that might be a little bit too dead, but this is where the morels will come up, at the bottom of these trees. So that's where you want to look around to see if you can see any. Okay, and like I said, right here is the first one. You see it there? So because you had this tree, I knew to look here. This is what you want. Once you find one, look around, because they don't just grow one. There's usually more than one. So I'm gonna look around here and see what I can find, and see if I can find another tree. All right, there's the big elm tree I told you about, I was talking about. I looked around and there was a mushroom back in this section here. That's the early season. First ones that come up are called grays. And that's what that was, a gray. And I found some more grays. Again, they're back in this briars. I mean, they're hard to film and cut. You have to climb on your hands and knees back in there to get them. But I'll put a picture up so you can see what the grays look like compared to the yellows. The yellows are usually later in the season. And there's another example of an elm tree with the bark coming off of it. That's the kind of trees you want to look around. Now, it's important to remember before you go out looking in the woods, in order to find the morels, they come up in the spring every year, usually in around the same area. What's important is the temperature at night has to be over 40 degrees for 2 weeks straight. And once you have that, the mushrooms should be out. Now, it helps if you have some rain and some sun mixed in. You want to have some rain and then followed by some sun, or some sun followed by some rain. Usually when it gets in the 70s, that's whenever you'll start being able to find the mushrooms. So here's another one over here. This one's a little bit too far gone. This is another elm tree. Almost all the bark's off of that tree, so it's a little too old. You want to find one that's not all the way dead. Still a little bit of life. It's just in the process of dying. It's not dead yet. And then you just kind of look around at the base of that tree for the mushrooms. That's where they grow. So it's early yet, it's middle of April. These the mushrooms come up usually about the middle of April all the way through May, sometimes early June, but after that they're done for the year. So that's the only time frame you have to find them. And another thing you want to do, you want to look in areas where the sun hits in the mornings first. So where the sun hits first is where the first mushrooms will come up. So you're looking for a sunny area, then you walk into that area, look for trees with the bark off. You got to know your trees to find the mushrooms. Morels grow under elm trees, cherry trees, sycamore trees, apple trees. So you got to learn your trees. Poplar trees is another good one. They get the little flowers on. So once you learn your trees, then you just go out and look for those trees in the areas where the sun's hitting, and you should find mushrooms. Now sometimes they're hard to find. You can walk right over them, but once you spot one and you start looking, usually you'll find more. I think one year I found 250 under one tree. So if it's a good tree, like a tree this size, that's the kind you're going to find them under when you find a lot. Smaller trees you'll find some, but not as many. So here's another dead elm tree. You can see up there, the bark's already off. So this might be too dead, but it still doesn't hurt to check. Usually they'll produce for a couple years, and the tree is completely dead. They'll stop producing there, and but usually close by there's another tree. So you just keep checking. We'll keep looking around, see if we can find anything. All right, this is a good tree right here. This is an elm tree. You see the bark. It's still got the bark going almost all the way up the tree. On the top, busted off, but there's still bark on that tree. So this would be a good area where we should find some mushrooms. Temperature's been right. We had a good mix of rain and sunshine. And here, look here. No, that is not a morel. This is what they call a false morel. See how big it is? But see the stems, you can see the stem is not hollow. Morel's stem is hollow, that stem is solid. So it looks kind of like a morel, but that's not what we're looking for. We're looking for one with a hollow stem. But that's a good sign, because if they're growing, then usually the other ones are growing. So we're gonna look around here a little bit and see if we can find anything. But that's what you call a false morel. A lot of people will see that and think that's morel, and it's not. Morels have a distinct kind of a honeycomb top and a hollow stem. They're hollow all the way through. So I'm gonna look around this tree some more. Let's see if we can't find anything. Even though this isn't morel, it's still a mushroom. That's called dryad saddle or pheasant back. You can see there's two here. That comes out at the same time as the morels. So I'm just looking around to see if I see any more morels. But once you find the right tree, you can see this is an elm. You see the bark's dying on it. So it's a good tree where there could be some mushrooms. You're not going to find mushrooms under every tree you find. You know, I don't know what it is about them. They only grow where they want to grow. So you just got to look. You look for the right tree. You look around on the ground. If you see any, you get them. And usually if you come back the next year, they're usually there again. But only for a couple years, and then they just quit producing them once the tree's dead. So I'm just looking around here now. See if I see anything else. Well, I'll keep searching. And this is another example of an elm. Elm trees, the roots come up out of the ground at the base of the tree instead of being down under the ground. You can see the roots sticking out there and on this side. You can see the bark coming off of this. It's still got some life to it though, because there's some green leaves up there. But that's a good tree that you can find mushrooms on. Just like I said, they don't produce under every tree, so you just got to check every tree you find. That's a good example. See the leaves and stuff there. Themselves a nut. All right, we're out here in the woods now. So one of the things you got to be able to do, you got to know your trees if you're going to find the mushrooms. There's different types of trees that morels grow on or under. They don't grow on them, they grow under them. There's an elm tree, which is the most famous one. You find a dying elm, you're going to find mushrooms. Another one that a lot of people don't know about is a sycamore tree. This is a sycamore. You can tell it by the bark. It's got that kind of scaly bark. Usually grows along the water. There's a stream right down here. So this is a good place to look. This is a nice big tree. So we're going to check around this tree, see if we can find anything. But this is one of the trees you want to keep an eye out for. You can find a sycamore tree, you can find mushrooms. I found 75 under one sycamore tree last year, so. But this is a sycamore. If I see any of the other trees, I'll record them as we're going so I can help you identify them. But this is one of the ones you want to look for. I'll look around here, see if I see anything. Well, I've been out here walking around for a while now, and haven't really found any mushrooms yet, but one of the nice things about this time of year, when you're out walking around, it's also a good time to look for sheds from a buck from last year or something laying around. I just happened to be walking and look over here what I see. Half of a shed off of a deer. It's been chewed on a little bit, but around here somewhere. That's a pretty cool find when you can find a shed off of a deer like that. So I'll keep looking around, see if I can find anything else. Still searching for mushrooms. And also, while you're out looking for mushrooms, watch out for the turtles and the other wildlife. Little box turtle there. He's probably looking for mushrooms too. Alright folks, I found an elm tree and I'm looking around. I can smell the mushrooms. I didn't necessarily see them yet. I know they're here. Oh, right there's one. If you get used to the smell, you'll be able to smell them before you see them. There's one. I know that's not the only one around here. I'm gonna pick this one and then see if there's any more around. All right, folks. Right in there's where I spotted that one morel mushroom, and I told you to look around. Well, you can see how thick the briars are back in there. I had to get on my hands and knees to climb back in there because I could see mushrooms, but you can't film that way. So I picked the mushrooms. I'll post a picture over here so you can see what I found. But like I said, when you find one, keep looking. There's usually more. All right, folks, out here in the woods again, and came across this. This is a black cherry tree. See the vertical lines across here. This is a classic black cherry tree. That's what you're looking for when you find a black cherry tree like that. A nice big one like this. It does have a dead limb there. So this could be a good place to look for mushrooms later in the year. So it's a place you want to keep an eye on. But it's another one of those trees I wanted to help you identify. That's what it looks like. And I found another black cherry tree. I feel like the bark shows you the lines a little bit better. You can really see the vertical lines going across. And you can actually see the leaves right there. It's a cherry tree leaf. And then there's these white flower clusters that get on when the cherries are going to bloom. But I'm finding several of these black cherry trees around in here. And this would be a good spot to keep checking. I'll keep checking this throughout the season for the morels and see if anything comes up around here. Keep on looking. Well, since we're out here in the woods looking for mushrooms, mainly we're looking for morels, but just found this big log here. Anytime you find dead trees, usually mushrooms. Look there, see them little brown things? That's called wood ears. There's some more right down here. Right there. Called wood ears. Look like an ear, like a bird. We also got dryad saddle, pheasant back. And down here, we got some turkey tail. I guess you can see how it's got its name. So, this is a good area for sure for mushrooms. Now, if I could just find some more morels. Keep looking. You're out here looking for these mushrooms, be careful. I saw that tree there, it's an old dead tree, and I thought I'd come up here and look for mushrooms. I walked right up to that, and there's a freaking black snake laying right there on that stick. And another one was out, and he went inside that hole right there. He's not happy. He's not happy. Just a black snake, he's not going to hurt you, but still. Not to scare you a bit, he's a little angry now because I woke him up. I think he's going to go in that tree with the other one. He said you never know what you're going to see when you're out here. Always got to keep your eyes open, but that was a surprise. All right, we got one more tree yet. We got to identify tulip poplar yet. But you're out here in the woods and stuff looking for these mushrooms. They can be really hard to spot. I'm going to put up a series of pictures of different mushrooms at different times that I come up on and try to find. You see if you can see how many you can see in the pictures, and look how hard they are to spot. They kind of hide in the moss and stuff. So I'm going to put these pictures up, a series of them, and then after that, I have some videos from my son-in-law. I gave him some tips a few years ago how to find these mushrooms. He followed my tips and he started finding his own spots. So he sent me some videos this year whenever he was out. So I'm gonna show you what he found whenever he was out looking.
right, Tim, I'm here in one of my spots. Just got here today. There is a few growing. There's a couple that I should have been here last weekend and got, but I just didn't have the time. So let's see here. Let me pause it and I'll show you. Is putting off some morels. You can see it, dead one there. Looks like last time I might have harvested there because I know no one else knows this spot, but here's one. I can see another one starting to pop up over there and over there as well. Now these floors are nice and green, everything's starting to grow in thick, so it's only going to get harder to find them at this point. But yeah, they're still producing. I think probably by next week, I think this spot's going to be done. But so I took a couple steps, Tim, and there's actually more than 3. I just picked one. Here's one. Here's one. Now I'm in a different angle. Over there's one, and over here's another one. Cool.
All right, folks. This is the 4th different tree I'm going to identify for you. This one is a tulip poplar. Yellow tulip poplar is what it's called. That's what the bark looks like. And one of the characteristics of this tree, they're straight up for a long ways before any limbs. So look at this tree. It goes clean up there before anything branches out. That's what a tulip poplar looks like. Now, the leaves are way up there. Here, I'll try to zoom in on the leaves so you can see what they look like. They have distinct shape. You see that? They don't have a point in the middle. They have 2 points that come out. That's a tulip poplar leaf. And they also have a yellow flower. It looks like a tulip, which is why they're a tulip poplar. But these are a great tree to find mushrooms under. So that was one of the trees I wanted to show you. So I'm out here looking. It's the first thing about finding morels. You gotta know all your trees. And mainly I look for 4 trees. The elm, which is my favorite. Black cherry, my second favorite. Tulip poplar, and sycamore. They're my 4 trees I look for all the time. So instead of going out into the woods and wandering aimlessly around, not wandering, you could take forever. But if you go out and look for these specific trees on the sunny side of a hill, where there's good water drainage and stuff, that's where you're gonna find the morels. So might help you. All right, we'll keep looking here. Well, we've identified 4 different types of trees now. This should help you find morels. Hopefully this video will help you go out in the woods and find morels, or at least know where to look. You have to know what trees to look for. You just can't go out and look at any tree. You have to know what trees to look for. So learn your trees. You can look them up, but I tried to add some pictures of the leaves, the bark, the flowers and stuff that come off them, so you know what to look for, so you know if you found the right tree or not. If you're in the right area, another tip, a lot of times the mushrooms like to grow along streams where water runs off at the bottom of the bank, not in the water, but on the bank coming down, leading to it. So that's where you can look. You can find water. You don't want to be up on the rocky ridge or up on the top. That's not where they're at. They're down usually on the lower side of the ridge, on the downhill side. Along water and streams and stuff like that. And if you find the right trees, you're going to find the mushrooms. So hopefully this video helped you identify the trees, helps you find some mushrooms out there. Again, don't forget, I teamed up with CH Custom Designs. They design my logo and they do shirts and stuff, so they can design a shirt for you, anything you want. So look them up on Facebook, CH Custom Designs. And hope you liked the video, and I hope to help you find some mushrooms and I thank you again for watching, and we'll see you next time.